Hey everyone, this is day 8 of the Expose the Truth Challenge, and I'm going to tell you about some things that are very frustrating about the industry that I've been working in and the industry that I continue to work in to some extent. Hope you're doing well today. Please comment, say hello, let us know you're here. And first thing I want to say is, man, I got to tell you, I'm doing this thing 30 days in a row of these Facebook Lives. The normal suggestion for this exercise is typing out posts, but I decided to do Facebook Live because I think that's a fun venue. But there's resistance, right? There's today I did not want to get on here. I did not want to do this. And it's like it's irrational. Some of the things that we do that we know that are good for us or that are going to challenge us, like we have this resistance and I find that as long as it's not an unsafe situation or something like that, it's really useful to work through that resistance and to do it anyway. So, who knows what's going to happen in this live session that I didn't want to do. So, one of the things that really frustrated me about being a psychotherapist for years was like it was the expectation that therapy was about venting. And I just got to put it out there, folks. It's like here's a public service announcement, and I'm gonna all of your therapists are either if they really care about you, they're gonna thank me, and if they really care about making money, they're gonna be like, oh shit, he's telling them the secrets. Haha, what's up, Joey? Nice to see you. So maybe that's why I got here, even though I didn't want to do it today. I could get you live. So, um, so therapists are gonna like be like, oh man, he's telling them, don't tell him. If they're in it for just like keeping you in as a client for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, well then they're gonna be like, yeah, man, it's just all about venting and like, you just gotta get stuff off your chest and I'm a really good active listener and I'm just gonna keep asking, oh, how does that make you feel? And I'm not saying there isn't to some degree where that's important and it's important to be heard, seen, and felt and all that stuff. It's important to have the basis of empathy and compassion. But the thing is that if the therapy is focused on talking about your problems, you are actually neurologically strengthening the neural networks associated with those problems. And so it is actually literally counterproductive to have problem focused, problem saturated therapy. And it's like in the degree to which we feel better for getting things off our chest, if you look in your life, and I'm just gonna, if I look in my life and I look about those times where I've like, oh man, that felt really good to talk about my problems. Well, what it often does is it releases the pressure or the tension, but that pressure or tension is often the energy that we needed to transcend the problem altogether, or to octave to a new level of being, or to create new behaviors, new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting that can actually have us leave the problem behind. And I think a lot of people don't really realize, they think that they just have to cope with their problems from the rest of their life, and they don't really believe in the possibility of true change. But you can truly change. I'm not saying that it's easy. And I'm not saying that this is just about like manifesting magic results. This is actually about consistent, dedicated, frequent repetitions of new attitudes, new ways of thinking, new ways of feeling, new ways of acting. And then there comes a tipping point. There comes a tipping point where that new way of being becomes your default mode. But up until that tipping point, it's work. It's like it's doing the Facebook Live even though you don't want to. It's getting up and going to exercise even though you don't want to. It's giving someone a hug even though you don't want to. It is, and that is where we really change. We change when we think, feel, and act differently today than we would have to the same stimulus yesterday. We don't change when it's easy. We don't change when it's like, oh, it feels good. Oh, my heart feels so open right now, and I just love you, and I feel so much gratitude. We change when we choose to feel love and gratitude in situations, environments, and life circumstances where it doesn't feel like we want to feel that way. That's when we change. We create new neurological territory in our brains and in our nervous systems and in our bodies. And it is actually really alchemy. That word is thrown around a lot in some new age kind of spiritual circles, but if you're really practicing change work, you are actually literally doing alchemy, because you are taking the circumstances that cause you to suffer now, and you are, as they arise in your life, and as you're about to you're about to have that reactive, look at that word, we react the situation over and over again. And as you're about to react that situation for the 10,000th time, you choose to do something different that literally changes your brain. It literally changes your chemistry. It literally changes your hormones, your biology, your heart rate, your blood pressure, and that is genuinely alchemy. We turn the very obstacles, one of the sayings in my life and in my practice is we rise on the very ground over which we once stumbled. But talking about that is not really going to get us there. Having insight about that is not going to really get us there. Understanding about it, we only need to understand to a certain degree, but oftentimes we get bogged down thinking, oh, I just need to understand this problem or where it came from, or oh yeah, now I know that, yeah, that came from my mom or that came from my dad. That might not really get us to the level of change that we're really looking for and hoping for. In fact, we're much better off focusing on the virtues and the values of who we really are. So in some of the spiritual work tradition that I practice in, we talk about focusing on joy, openness, love, kindness, or awareness. And if I'm focusing on one of those, and if I have it boiled down, we also have something called a most secret name where we like distill our most precious core values into a new identity. And we create kind of like an essential icon of our essential self that becomes the new kind of frame that we want to see the world through. But yet we don't see through it yet right away until we have practiced it and practiced it and practiced it. And one of the analogies that I really, really love is that of an improv actor. We're like improv actors. And the actor part is like we know that if an actor is a good actor, they actually aren't acting. They're actually feeling the real deal. They're not acting sad. They're not pretending that they're sad. They're actually sad. They're not acting, like something's funny. They're really actually laughing, right? And so if we all have these roles in life, but most of our roles are reactive. We're reacting the conditions, the thoughts, feelings, beliefs, expectations that we've been taught. We're reacting the past. And so that is roles that are often, given to us by life, by the government, by schools, by our parents, etc. But when we really wake up and are ready to kind of do the alchemy or do the change work, then we need a new identity to shift into that is our chosen identity. And this is actually a concept that has been taken kind of in a different way by some kind of religious sects. And we talk about being born again. Well, it's actually you're born again in this sense, in the esoteric sense, to your true self, to your true nature, to your true identity of who you value and choose to be, regardless of your conditioning, regardless of your past, and maybe it's sometimes in spite of it. And so if I have my most secret name, which is my true nature, and I know that the values and virtues of my true nature are joy, openness, love, kindness, and awareness, and I focus on how do I bring those into my life more and more and more and more, then I create actually the nervous system conditions of happiness and thriving that I want to experience more of. But when I'm sitting there going, oh, I just got to talk to you about how awful it's been, and this, oh, and again, I'm not talking about being a jerk and lacking empathy and compassion and saying that there's not some room to be, again, like I said, seen, felt, and heard is a really important base actually for the change work. But most therapy stops there, and it just is about validating your suffering. And if it's just validating your suffering and not encouraging you to change, guess what? You're never going to change. And if you're not doing things that you don't feel like doing, you're never going to change. If you're waiting to feel like it, if we're waiting to feel like it, I don't mean to be preaching to you. I'm talking to myself too. If I'm waiting to feel like it, then I'm going to be waiting forever, because what we feel like is all of the things that we're accustomed to from the past. It doesn't mean it's necessarily good nor bad. It's just what we feel like is what is familiar. And if we want something new, then we are by definition going to feel uncomfortable doing that, and we are not going to want to do it. So here I am on the Facebook Live, and I didn't really want to do it. I didn't want to do it. And yet here I am, and it feels good to be here. It feels like an authentic expression of who I really am, encouraging people to be their best, encouraging myself to be my best, and trying to really break through some of those limitations and those resistances and those patterns, in a way that, yes, we can have all the kindness and empathy, and we can do it with consideration. It doesn't need, I'm not talking about macho, I'm not talking about denial, but I am also not say it also does require some effort, and it requires courage and determination, and it's worth it. So for those of you that are here, love you all. And for those of you that are watching the replay, say hello too. Feel free to write comments, questions below. Feel free to write me a private message at any time. Drop me a thumbs up if you want that free Relating Revolution class video. We're going to be starting a new cohort sometime next month. So message me if you want information on that. Yeah, I'm glad I did it too, Joey. And hopefully it was useful for you. And love you all. Have a beautiful day.